Stop. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Fester, Princess, SoundCloud, SoundClick, and all points America. You know what, America? We're in a race war. Good old race war. Just never seems to stop. It's been that way since we were brought over here, and the hatred, the senselessness is not stopping. It isn't. But uh, you. Let me say this. This is just the menagerie of the day. It's just a menagerie. Listen, the Asians used to go through what the African Americans are going through now. They did, and then of course the emperor, of I think it was Japan. He pretty much conceded to the Europeans when they dropped Hiroshima and Nagasaki on them, the bombs on them. And, 50 years later, because that was in what, 48, 41, 48. And now, 50, 60 years later, we are allied, or they are allied with, and in all of that, of course, the African Americans fought, those wars. But to be truthful, it had nothing to do with us. We were brought over here on ships, sold into slavery. We reproduced, so we were here, so we were deemed American. So you're African American. We came from the continent of Africa, landmass of Africa, and we were brought over here against our will, and boom, we're here, and now we fight in the wars that the so-called white American has continued to start with people, but what's really crazy is, like, see, the white people, not all white people, but the white people who hate us, even in the military, hate us, uh, to the point where recently they took a black girl, and she was a soldier over there in Afghanistan, and she was an American soldier, African American soldier, and they raped her. And what they did to her was they cut her uterus out so there could be no autopsy on semen. So they gang raped her, American soldiers gang raped her, then cut her up so no one could tell who did it. See, we have, when you think about the mindset that you have to have, the barbaric mindset that you have to do that to another human is inhuman. It really is. It's inhuman to think that I am going to uh, uh, take this person and completely violate them in every respect, and then cut their body up, and especially in this day of age where we consider ourselves to be civilized. You see, so my point is, we, the African American, are we're almost guilty by association. But see, the Asians and the Middle Easterns, they don't really have beef with us. The Asians just don't like us just because they see us as nothing but a dollar bill. But they don't really have issues with us as far as war. Like, we didn't blow up Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Black people didn't make those bombs. We have nothing to do with that. And I hate to belabor the point, but let me get around to it. What I'm saying is, if you start adding up everything that's happening and everything that's happened in the past, where white people invaded every single country there was and started war with pretty much every single other race that they could. And now their numbers are dwindling to the point where the Europeans, actually in Europe, are paying couples to have children because their numbers are not as large as those people of color. And I mentioned this in another video. And of course now, see, we owe Asia so much money. We owe China like so much money, and if you notice, most of the things we have are made in China. See, our economy has collapsed before, and during 9/11 it collapsed. They collapsed that on purpose, so, AIG and all that other stuff, but it's collapsed. But nonetheless, then the so-called printing of money and the bailout system and so on and so forth. But that money didn't just come out of nowhere. Money is binary. It didn't just come out of the sky. We borrowed that money and then we paid off all those people in the buyouts. And who do we get that from? So, to bring the point all the way around, the hatred that the white supremacist has for the black people is going to backfire on them. I'm going to tell you why. Because sooner or later, and it's looking like sooner, the Asians are going to call for, their money. And the financial system is going to collapse again, but only when it collapses, there's going to be no way to borrow that money because we simply don't have it. Now, I could go into what Obama did to try to lessen the bleeding of that money. And basically, when you're looking at the Affordable Health Care Act, a lot of people don't know that the Affordable Health Care Act also helped stop some of the excessive bleeding of that money through Medicare, Medicaid. And I'm not even going to get that deep into it, but nonetheless, it is true. That's one of the purposes of Medicare and Medicaid, as far as the Affordable Care Act, not Medicare and Medicaid itself, but the Affordable Care Act is so we weren't losing so much money. And if you look at our deficit, what Obama did really helped the deficit go down, but nonetheless, we still owe trillions of dollars. And this is what he was thinking about. He was thinking, in the long run, if we stay on this course, then eventually we will not owe all this money to a foreign country that hates us. But eventually they're going to call for their money. And, you know, it's going to be bad for us when we can't go shopping. When we can't go get water. That's already happening now in some places. It's going to get bad. And the ball is going to drop. It's going to drop. And the only people that are going to be standing are those who are, and this is not me sounding like a communist. This is just the sheer facts. This is just the sheer financial facts about America and what we've done. I mean, we're building $30 million planes. One plane, $30 million. I mean, we are constantly bleeding our own system. And as far as Medicaid is concerned, I mean, Medicare, Medicaid fraud is ridiculous. The fraudulent, the defrauding the government, we're doing that on a mass scale, and everybody is in on it, and everybody knows, and it's helping to collapse our system. I mean, it's going down bad, people, and a lot of people don't see it because they just don't care. But it's really, really happening. Hospital after hospital, privatized hospitals. I mean, it's really, really bad, and it's costing us. It's costing us. And I'm telling you, when they call for their money, we're going to be in trouble. We're going to be in big trouble. But to bring the point around, like I said, African Americans have nothing to do with the wars that the Europeans have started. But nonetheless, we fought in those wars for America that hates us. There was even something called the colored troops, and I used to be a soldier. I was in the United States Army 32nd ACOM AAD. Then I was in Big Red 1 in Kansas. So what's going to happen is when it all falls down, there's going to be, and this is how white supremacists are hurting each other. And I keep want to say white supremacists because not all white people lead like this, but this is what's happening for the white supremacists. This is what's happening to them. This is what's going to happen. There's going to be a separation of the nation, and it's already happening. If you can't tell that garbage that happened where they took over the federal building in Denver, and then they all tried to plead innocent. Hey, we just wanted, whatever, but nonetheless, they were talking about blood and blah, blah, blah until the boys came and shot them. You know what I'm saying? They were up there with guns. They took it over with guns. If black people would have done that, it would have been a slaughter. But nonetheless, what I'm saying is there are 12 different militia groups hate the government. Now, there is going to be a major divide, but it's going to be the divide is going to be so deep that the black people as a nation, the black nation that lives here in America is going to have to make a choice. And what's going to happen is there's going to be a mass number of them who will not have anything to do with what America has done to them. They will not, they're not going to go, and they're not going to want to go and fight in any more wars because they're slaughtering our children, our women, our men. They're slaughtering us. They're putting us in jail. There's over 1 million of us in jail. And it's going to be a great, great, great divide by the millions. And then the white supremacists and those who have been allowing, us to be slaughtered and have done nothing, they're going to realize the number of colored people that are here in America and what that means to the populace as far as soldiers go. As far as, and when I say soldiers, I don't mean those who are in the United States Army. I mean those who are available to protect. There is a difference. See, when first responders, the good police and the people in fire engine and and those guys who come along and the EMTs and firemen and all those great guys who do their job and we love y'all for it. When they come, they always tell you that you are the first responder. Even if it's happening to you, sometimes you can actually save your own life. See, it basically says you are your own defense. See, in America, the numbers are so great when it comes to colored people, especially for the Hispanics that are pouring into the nation, the Africans that are pouring into the nation, and they're not just migrating here. They're not coming here and going back. They're coming and they're staying. But nonetheless, there's a constant alienation of the dark people. There is. I mean, the Hispanics too, the Africans and African Americans. There's a constant separation that the white supremacists are doing. And when I say white supremacists, I mean the Ku Klux Klan members who are in police uniforms. I'm talking about the prejudice police. I'm talking about the prejudice politicians. I'm talking about anybody who has a racial issue against somebody who's dark skinned just because they're dark skinned, not because they did something wrong. Who are out here killing people. See, they're going to realize very soon that they are outnumbered. And even Benjamin Franklin talked about this. Yeah, Ben Franklin, he knew this. See, and when they realize that, it's going to be too late. Now, I'm just a dude. You know what I mean? I've worked for the Ohio House of Representatives before. I've been a soldier before. I've seen some things. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I've been around the block, I guess you can say. I've been to 5 different countries. I've been around. And it's scary when you really wake up and realize that you are living in a country that hails you as the enemy. And what's even more scarier is when that country falls, the people who are in another nation are probably going to be your allies. And that's scary. I know that sounds scary to you, but it's the truth. It's the very truth. When they come over here to in whatever fashion it is, whether there's bombs or whatever, when all the bombs stop blowing up, there's still gonna be people here. And when those people look at your color or non-color, what are they gonna think? See, that's the question. This is what the right white supremacist doesn't realize. They have made themselves an enemy to everyone, every single person. And truthfully, if I was a white supremacist, I would stop. I would call the police and I'd say, don't hang another female. Do not shoot another child. Do not put another man in jail because we are outnumbered. And that's just the plain truth. When the dust settles, they are outnumbered by a vast amount. And since they invaded everyone, and now they have made everyone their enemy because they robbed and killed and raped and murdered them, all of those people are going to be looking at them. And we, the African American, who could be their allies, but they still have millions of us in jail and they keep doing it. They're killing us every day. We could be their strongest ally and they don't realize it. See, they think the gun makes them powerful, but that isn't what makes you powerful. These. The more of these you have, the better. Now, I'm going to end my diatribe here, but there's so much information on this. But if you use some foresight and really look at the facts of what goes around comes around, it's gonna happen. And I may not be here, you may not be here, but nonetheless, our children are gonna be here. Our children are gonna be here. You know, our grandchildren, they're going to be here, and they're gonna remember, and they're gonna be like, you know what? You killed us. You murdered us, Planned Parenthood. You killed our fetuses. You hated us. You killed our children. You shot us dead in the street. And your justice system did nothing for us. So we're not going to do anything for you. And that's just the way it goes. It's your boy Tone 202. Peace.